Do you know what you have here? This is something that's only been hinted at in antiquity. For the first time ever, we're laying eyes on the actual Gospel of Judas.
Over the centuries, many depictions of Jesus Christ have depicted him as having fair skin and a fair complexion in almost every artistic depiction. However, examination of the letter written by Lentulus addressed to Caesar reveals a detailed description of Jesus that may contradict the popular imagery found in famous paintings. Many scholars suggest that this letter may be apocryphal, as there is no historical record of Lentulus's existence. However, if such suspicions prove to be unfounded, one may ponder the nature of his relationship with Jesus Christ and how he was able to give such vivid details, such as that he regularly ate with him. We invite you to join us in this video as we explore the untold truths contained in the letter allegedly sent by Lentulus to Caesar. In the 20th century, one of the earliest depictions of Jesus was the Divine Mercy image, which gained popularity among Roman Catholics and Anglicans. This image is said to have miraculously appeared to Saint Faustina Kowalska in Poland in 1931 during a vision of Jesus. In her diary, Faustina reported that Jesus appeared to her and instructed her to paint an image according to the pattern she had seen. Next, she collaborated with artist Eugene Kazimierowski to create the Divine Mercy image, which depicts Jesus with his right hand raised in blessing and his left hand touching the garment near his chest. From his heart, two large rays emerge, one red and the other white, symbolizing the grace of divine mercy bestowed upon the world, especially through the sacraments of baptism and the Eucharist. Many iterations of this image have been created, yet Jesus made it clear to Faustina during the vision that painting itself was not paramount. When Saint Faustina first saw the original image rendered under her guidance, she expressed her disappointment and lamented to Jesus, asking, "Who would paint you as beautiful as you are?" In response, she received the message, "Not in the beauty of the color or the brush, but in my grace lies the greatness of this image." A notable painting of Jesus is The Head of Christ by Warner Salmon, which depicts Jesus from the head to the chest, with his gaze directed thoughtfully. Salmon claimed that the head of Christ was inspired by a miraculous vision he experienced late one night, stating that the revelation occurred at 2 a.m. in January 1924. This painting holds particular significance in the Coptic Orthodox Church, especially following the account of 12-year-old Isaac Ayub, who, upon being diagnosed with cancer, reportedly saw the eyes of Jesus in the painting shedding tears. On that same day, Father Isaac Solomon of St. Mark's Coptic Church in Houston testified to this miracle. Subsequently, Dr. Atef Rizkala, the family physician, examined the boy and confirmed that there were no traces of leukemia. Another early representation of Jesus is Salvator Mundi by Leonardo da Vinci, which portrays Jesus in a blue Renaissance garment, making the sign of the cross with his right hand while holding a transparent crystal orb in his left. This image serves as a medium for spiritual communication between the viewer and the likeness of Christ. It is evident that the inspiration behind earlier representations of Jesus often stemmed from visions and revelations as he revealed himself to those artists. However, the letter of Lentulus to Caesar presents a different perspective. It does not appear to be founded on such visions. Instead, it suggests that Lentulus had a more personal acquaintance with Jesus during his earthly life. Although it is not recorded that Lentulus was a disciple of Jesus, the nature of their relationship remains a subject of inquiry. Lentulus served as the governor of Judea prior to Pontius Pilate and authored a letter that provides a vivid description of Jesus. The letter, known as the Epistle of Mysterious Origin, gained considerable attention in the 15th century. Its content significantly influenced the subsequent artistic depictions of Jesus. Christopher Miles, an 18th-century librarian from Genoa, noted that the letter was inscribed in golden letters on red paper and was elaborately bound, although it has since been lost. A 19th-century scholar believed he could trace the letter back to the time of Diocletian, though this assertion is not widely accepted by contemporary scholars. Various manuscripts of the letter have been published, and it was referenced by Ludolf in his writings on the life of Christ. The next known printed version of the letter appeared in the works of Saint Anselm, although it is not attributed to him. According to historical accounts, a certain Jacob Colonna discovered the letter in 1432 within an ancient Roman document sent to Rome from Constantinople. The description provided in the letter aligns with the portrayal of Jesus Christ as depicted by Nicephorus and St. John Damascene, lending credibility to its authenticity based on several corroborating details. What did the letter contain? In the correspondence, Lentulus characterizes Jesus as a figure of considerable power and virtue. Some individuals refer to him as the prophet of truth, while his disciples address him as the Son of God. Lentulus depicts Jesus as a man of average stature, possessing a venerable appearance. He compares the color of his hair to that of ripe hazelnuts, describing it as wavy and curly, reaching shoulder length. It is parted at the crown of his head in accordance with the Nazarene tradition. His countenance is described as cheerful, devoid of wrinkles or blemishes, and his brows are smooth. According to Lentulus, he has a full beard, and his eyes are blue-gray and bright. His posture is upright, and his arms and hands are aesthetically pleasing. He is described as formidable in his reprimands, yet sweet and amiable in his admonitions, maintaining a cheerful demeanor without losing his gravity. While he was not known to laugh, he was often seen weeping, and he is portrayed as the most beautiful among the children of men. To assess the authenticity of this letter, we will first compare its content with the scriptures in the Bible. The characterization of Jesus as a venerable figure, capable of eliciting both fear and love, resonates with Proverbs 1:7, which states that the fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. His disciples recognized him as one who embodies love while also being just and committed to fulfilling his Father's will. The letter also describes his hair as long, a point of contention among some scholars. However, it is important to recall that as a Nazarene, it was customary for him to maintain his hair in accordance with their vows. The assertion that he was formidable in his reprimands aligns with Proverbs 3:12, which notes that, "Whom the Lord loves, he corrects." The phrase, "he was never known to laugh but often to weep," corresponds to Hebrews 4:15, which states that he was empathic to human infirmities and was tempted in every way as we are. He was known to have prayed earnestly to be spared from his impending sacrifice, yet remained resolute in his commitment to fulfill the Father's will. A particularly contentious assertion in Lentulus's letter is the claim that Jesus is the most beautiful among the children of men. However, this appears to contradict Isaiah 53:2, which states that he had no beauty or majesty to attract us to him, nothing in his appearance that we should desire him. Many scholars suggest that this discrepancy arises from varying interpretations of Jesus' spiritual significance. Additional arguments supporting the authenticity of the letter warrant consideration. Scholars emphasize that the letter is likely apocryphal, incorporating biblical figures or those closely associated with them, similar to texts such as the Epistle of Barnabas or the Shepherd of Hermas. Moreover, in the 15th century, many manuscripts do not reference Publius Lentulus as the purported governor of Judea, suggesting that this title may have been an interpolation from other manuscripts. It is plausible that Publius Lentulus was a Roman official visiting Jerusalem or Judea during that period. Roman historical records also provide the names of several Lentuli who served as consuls around the time of Christ's ministry, making it conceivable that a consul could have addressed a letter to the Senate. Consequently, the question of authenticity merits careful examination. The Lentulus letter presents a detailed portrayal of Jesus that aligns with biblical accounts. However, it is essential to seek substantial corroborative evidence beyond the Bible. One notable figure, Abgar of Edessa, recognized as one of the earliest Christian kings, was among the 70 disciples and authored a letter to Jesus, addressing him as the good physician and requesting healing for his afflictions. Although many assert that Jesus traveled to heal him, Jesus' response to Abgar indicates otherwise, He explicitly states that he would send one of his disciples instead. The description of Jesus in Abgar's letter aligns with Lentulus's account of Jesus's healing abilities. Furthermore, Pontius Pilate's correspondence with Tiberius Caesar describes Jesus as strict, pious, and an ambassador of truth, further reinforcing the portrayal of Jesus as the prophet of truth and one who reprimands with authority. These letters, in various ways, corroborate Lentulus's account and suggest that he indeed had first-hand knowledge of Christ. Lastly, we must consider whether these descriptions align with the physical representations of Jesus in early church art. Various artistic works have sought to depict Jesus, despite the prohibition against such representations at the time. An analysis of Lentulus's letter in conjunction with these artistic portrayals may yield further insights into the historical and cultural perceptions of Jesus's appearance. How art depicts Jesus. Significant transformations occurred within Christianity following the conclusion of the New Testament era. After the passing of the original apostles, a small group of devoted Christians persisted. However, much of Christianity gradually evolved into a faith that bore little resemblance to the Church, as described in the Book of Acts. The earliest images purportedly depicting Jesus have been dated to approximately AD 240 to 256. It is evident that these artists, who lived 2 centuries after Christ's ascension, had neither seen him nor known any of his contemporaries. Rather than attempting a direct portrayal, these early images represented Christ symbolically. The most prevalent representation was that of Christ as the Good Shepherd, holding a lamb. In these depictions, he is typically portrayed as youthful, physically robust, and beardless. Most of these images were discovered in the catacombs of Rome, rather than in Judea or Asia Minor, where the majority of early Christians resided. Historians face challenges in definitively identifying these images as representations of Christ, as they often draw comparisons with pagan art that utilized the shepherd motif as a symbol of philanthropy. It becomes evident that borrowing from pagan artistic traditions is a recurring theme in many of the iconic representations within Christianity. It was not until the era following Constantine that detailed artistic representations of Jesus began to emerge within churches. A historian noted that there was considerable resistance to artistic portrayals of Jesus. However, after Constantine embraced Christianity and initiated its adaptation to Roman cultural norms, the Greco-Roman customs of venerating deities through statues and images became syncretized with Christianity. By the late 4th century, the use of images within churches became widespread. Individuals began to prostrate themselves before these images, and many less informed believers began to worship them. Proponents of this practice contended that they were merely expressing reverence for the sacred symbols of an absent Lord and his saints. Despite ongoing resistance, the use of icons and images ultimately prevailed and became entrenched within the strands of Christianity that emerged from Rome and Byzantium. Nonetheless, one cannot overlook the role of art in shaping a closer representation of Jesus's physical appearance beyond the biblical descriptions. These images expanded the human imagination regarding his visage in accordance with the letter of Lentulus and provided a more nuanced understanding of the divine incarnate. However, the artistic expressions of this burgeoning form of Christianity did not arise in isolation. An image believed to be the face of Jesus was reportedly found imprinted on a piece of cloth. Numerous historians have scrutinized this material and remain astounded by its implications. Could it possibly have originated from heaven? Further investigation is warranted. In 1354, a piece of cloth known as the Shroud of Turin, or the Veil of Veronica, was uncovered, bearing the image of a man identified by historians as Jesus Christ. The Shroud of Turin, also referred to as the Holy Shroud, is a length of linen that exhibits a faint image of both the front and back of a man. For centuries, it has been venerated, particularly within the Catholic Church, as the actual burial shroud that enveloped the body of Jesus of Nazareth following his crucifixion, upon which the bodily image of Jesus is believed to be miraculously imprinted. This 14-foot linen cloth has evolved into a prominent Catholic icon. For some, it is considered the authentic burial shroud of Jesus Christ. For others, it serves as a religious symbol that reflects the narrative of Christ without necessarily being the original shroud. More than 600 years after it first entered historical records, the Shroud of Turin continues to hold significant religious importance for Christians globally. The question arises, how could a genuine deceased body in the tomb create such a precise impression of a human form? It has been posited that some form of energy, referred to as a thermonuclear flash, may have been responsible for the image, generated through a process far more controlled than the explosion of an atomic bomb. Remarkably, this phenomenon affected only the surface of the fibers of the cloth, without penetrating its full thickness or causing any damage. It merely left a perfect impression of a human body on the surface. Some theorize that this may represent a manifestation of the divine power of Jesus, akin to the event of his transfiguration, a surge of energy from his body that caused his blood to dematerialize, while simultaneously fusing his image and that of his body onto the cloth, thereby preserving a literal snapshot of the resurrection for future generations. The image, presented in a faint straw-yellow hue on the crown of the cloth fibers, depicts a man with a beard, mustache, and shoulder-length hair parted in the center. According to descriptions provided in the Lentulus letter, he is characterized as muscular and tall, with various experts estimating his height to range from 1.70 to 1.88 meters, or approximately 5'7". Additionally, reddish-brown stains are evident on the cloth, corresponding to the wounds described in the biblical account of Jesus' crucifixion. Over time, discussions surrounding the shroud have diminished, and it is now revered as a holy relic. Nevertheless, many individuals maintain their belief solely in the biblical descriptions of Jesus rather than in a piece of cloth. Ultimately, the Shroud of Turin remains a significant artifact in the ongoing exploration of the identity of Jesus Christ. Please remain attentive as we explore the portrayal of Jesus in the Holy Scriptures and examine the biblical descriptions of Jesus throughout history. The most prevalent image of Jesus Christ, particularly in Western cultures, is that of a bearded, fair-skinned man with long, wavy, light brown or blonde hair, often accompanied by blue eyes. However, the Bible does not provide a physical description of Jesus, and existing evidence suggests that he likely resembled a figure quite different from traditional depictions. Our primary accounts of Jesus derive from the first 4 books of the New Testament, the Gospels of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. According to these texts, Jesus was a Jewish man born in Bethlehem and raised in Nazareth, Galilee, during the 1st century. It is established that Jesus was approximately 30 years old when he commenced his ministry, as indicated in Luke 3:23. Notably, the Bible does not offer a detailed description of his appearance, only implying that he did not stand out in any significant way. During the event of Jesus' arrest in the Garden of Gethsemane, as recorded in Matthew 26:46-56, Judas Iscariot was required to identify Jesus to the soldiers, suggesting that Jesus and his disciples bore a similar appearance. For many scholars, Revelation 1:14-15 provides a hint regarding Jesus' physical characteristics, implying that he may have had darker skin and woolly hair. The passage describes his hair as being white as white wool, white as snow, with eyes like a flame of fire, and feet like burnished bronze, refined as in a furnace. In 2018, a rare early portrait of Jesus was uncovered on the walls of a dilapidated church in southern Israel. This painting, dating back to the 6th century AD, represents the earliest known image of Christ found in Israel, depicting him with shorter, curly hair, a representation typical of the Eastern Byzantine Empire, particularly in the regions of Egypt and Syria-Palestine, which later fell out of favor in Byzantine art. The long-haired, bearded image of Jesus that emerged from the 4th century onwards was significantly influenced by the artistic representations of Greek and Roman deities, notably the powerful Greek god Zeus. During this period, Jesus began to be depicted in a long robe, often seated on a throne, as exemplified by the 5th century mosaic located on the altar of the Santa Pudenziana Church in Rome, frequently accompanied by a halo. It is essential to recognize that not all representations of Jesus conform to the prevailing image portrayed in Western art. In fact, diverse cultures around the globe have visually depicted him in ways that reflect their own racial identities. This phenomenon arises from the tendency of cultures to represent prominent religious figures in likeness to the dominant racial identity within their societies. In 2001, a collaborative effort involving Israeli and British forensic anthropologists, along with computer programmers, was spearheaded by a medical artist to create a new representation of Jesus. This endeavor utilized an Israeli skull dating back to the 1st century AD, employing advanced computer modeling techniques and insights into the physical appearance of Jewish individuals from that period. While no consensus exists regarding the precise likeness of Jesus, scholars generally regard this reconstruction as more accurate than many traditional artistic portrayals of the figure known as the Son of God. In the book, What Did Jesus Look Like?, the author draws upon archaeological evidence, historical texts, and ancient Egyptian funerary art to suggest that Jesus, like most individuals in Judea and Egypt during that era, likely had brown eyes, dark brown to black hair, and olive brown skin. It is posited that he may have stood approximately 5 feet 5 inches, 166 centimeters tall, which reflects the average height of men at that time. Another scholar contends that contemporary representations of Jesus, characterized by darker and potentially curlier hair, darker skin, and dark eyes, may be more aligned with historical reality. Nonetheless, the exact appearance of Jesus remains elusive and ultimately unknowable. Many artistic interpretations of Jesus depict him as a Caucasian figure, with the most renowned being Head of Christ by Warner Salmon. However, some argue against this portrayal, citing biblical references such as Revelation 1:14 and emphasizing Jesus' Nazarene heritage, which could suggest a range of ethnic backgrounds. Furthermore, the description of Jesus in Lent's letter as the most beautiful among the children of men, alongside the verse from Psalm 45:2 that refers to him as the fairest of them all, raises questions regarding the validity of these debates. These scriptural passages, along with visions attributed to figures such as Faustina and Solomon, challenge the foundations of the discourse surrounding Jesus' appearance. Ultimately, it is asserted that no artistic representation can truly encapsulate the divine glory of Jesus, which will be fully revealed on the day of his return. We await that day with hopeful anticipation. What are your thoughts on whether Jesus could have been depicted as a white man or a black Nazarene? We invite you to share your perspectives in the comments section. Please consider liking, sharing, and subscribing for further insights.